have I got a huge announcement for you. This week in London, you can go and order and join a ticket.
No, pre-order. It's sign up for pre-order. It's sign up for the waiting list for when the tickets do go on sale. So you're not actually getting anything now.
I was doing a plug for our live event.
Hold on. Wait, I can fix this. Hold on. Stay there.
Have I got a big announcement for you this week, Saturday, in London? Long Arm Pub. It is me, Ollie Davis, Luke Owen, other people, which include
Tempest,
Sullivan Bo Brown,
and Dan Layton.
Doing a live, no-holds-barred and crown jewel watch party. Those tickets are on sale now, not in a month's time.
You're not signing up for pre-orders.
You're not signing up for pre-orders now, or the pre-sale one, which is sort of 3 weeks away, a week before, for the show that's actually 10 months away.
You see,
it's a huge announcement.
Well, here's where you've gone wrong there, because what Tony Khan did on this show was not a huge announcement. It was an important announcement, which is also different from his major announcements.
We've not got any of our whiteboard markers and stuff, but we should try and rank them, shouldn't we? We've got the important, the importance the lowest.
I think important is the lowest, because that is just like, you need to know this information.
You know what? Just hold there for a second. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen. Welcome to the AEW Dynamite Review podcast. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button. Give us a subscribe. Leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode and Tony Khan's over-promotional tactics. And send in your OmegaChats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them over $5 before the end of the show. But our main topic is the criticism Tony Khan has very fairly opened himself up for by continually teasing huge announcements, important announcements, and then it comes to the announcement on the episode, and it could have been done on a tweet.
Here's the thing. As an announcement goes, it's quite a cool one.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that, like, hey, tickets for this event are going on sale on this date. If he'd have just done that on the show, we'd have all gone, oh, cool. Did you hear? Like, I mean, you must have done. You saw the show. Tickets are on sale on December 1st.
That is information I need to know as a fan, because I'm also in England and I want to go to that show and I want to get much better seats than I did last time. No offense, Dan Layton.
But because of the every few weeks, I mean, and I'm going to be very, very cards on the table here. Mm. This only started happening once Jeff Jarrett joined the promotion. And I will say, it's a very TNA thing to do to say Dixie Carter has a major announcement on the show.
I feel like the first one in my memory is the Hall of Fame caliber WWE signing.
But that wasn't like yes, that was on the show. That wasn't like a tune in to Dynamite because Tony Khan has a.
Well, it was by the pay-per-view,
and you'll see a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You're right.
And the unfair thing is, I think that's a valid description of Christian,
because everyone has said, why isn't that man in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, but it was just at a time when there were a few free agent names, and it set the bar too high. Of course, Christian, just look at the great work he's done since, but. Yeah, that's when I first remember it. And it's weird for things like CM Punk's, both of his returns, never actually announced. I would say those, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole's debuts, Ric Flair coming out last week, well, that was kind of teased. But I would say those are worthy of the big announcement things. But yeah, to get back to your point, you've got important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so important, I think, is the lowest ranking of the Tony Khan announcements. I think... So what the other ones got? Major and huge.
Yeah.
So I think Major's probably number one.
If we were doing WrestleTalk News thumbnails, Major would be the biggest one.
I think so, yeah. We go important, huge, Major.
Yeah. It's like ranks in the army.
The other thing as well, like the other side of this being a good announcement to make on a TV broadcast, because I've seen people like, why would you even announce the TV broadcast?
Oh.
I get why you would do that, and also at the top of the first hour when a lot of people are watching the show. I actually get it from that aspect of it. The announcement of it is the problem. But as an announcement goes, it's a smart announcement to make now and to get tickets on sale, because they're going to be in a bidding war next year with European fans. Because 1 week after All In 2024 is Bash in Berlin, which coincidentally...
Oh, well, it's not. Yeah, it's nothing to do with that. WWE have quite proven themselves to not counter-program AEW.
No, this was just a massive coincidence that this is happening 1 week later. So as a way to try and get ahead of that, they tried to make this up like it's the biggest thing possible. You know, Nigel McGuinness was there to be like, as a little boy, I wanted to be part of Wembley Stadium, and now I've got to be part of history and all this. Go, governor, go buy your ticket.
Governor.
So he was there to do the big sell, be part of history, be part of the biggest wrestling crowd. This was a historic event. So it makes total sense to do this if you're trying to convince people, don't go to Bash at Berlin in 1 week's time, come to All In the week before.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to make ramp up and get people excited about that. The problem is, we have done this dance a lot of Tony Khan has a big announcement, Tony Khan has a huge announcement, Tony Khan has a major announcement, and they've been diminishing returns, and they are now, as we put on the thumbnail, Boy Who Cried Wolf. So it's a joke now. When people see it, people are just instantly making fun of it. So they don't have any impact. And if anything, them advertising ahead of time, this is a important announcement, devalued the news story that tickets for All In 2024 have gone on sale.
You're right. Just from marketing PR purposes, no one's taught. Very few people are leading with that part. It's more about the nature of the conveying of information. Because if Tony says, I've got some really exciting information about the tickets for All In next year, and I'm going to announce it tomorrow night on Dynamite. Perfectly done. Because everyone goes in there with the exact right level of expectation. They're out in a month's time, and I need to sign up to the mailing list or whatever now to get first access to buy them. But because he left it open, I've got an important announcement to make tomorrow. It just... everyone's minds start going crazy. They fill in the space of the lack of information.
It's 1 week after Tony Khan has a special gift for Sting.
Which delivered.
Yeah, we're only a couple of weeks removed from what felt like another announcement that he had to make on TV, and it is the law of diminishing returns. And if you don't know the parable of the boy who cried wolf, it is about a boy who keeps telling the village that a wolf is after him, and there isn't a wolf after him. He's just doing it for attention. And then one day, a wolf goes after him, and he screams at the village, "A wolf is after me!" And they don't believe him.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's attention. It's a quite transparent, cynical, clickbaity tactic.
Desperate.
To get people to watch Dynamite.
But it's not working anymore. So I don't know why you would keep going back to that well. I don't know who within AEW that needs to say to him, this is not working. You can probably look at the data and see it's never been a big rating story. It probably was early doors, but the diminishing returns of them has meant that it's probably not a rating story anymore. In the same way that Dixie Carter has a special announcement for Impact, didn't draw anymore.
And what usually was that special announcement?
We are doing shows in Kentucky.
Gunner's signed a multi-year deal.
Yeah.
That's the most frequent one I remember. I think it's a shame because AEW have had so many genuinely amazing announcements. And they could probably do a huge, genuinely major announcement every couple of months. You know, like Ric Flair's signed with the company, or we will be going back next year to Wembley Stadium.
If they hadn't have already announced they were doing All In 2024, then you probably could have had that as part of this important announcement. We're going back to Wembley Stadium on this date. But this is information we already knew. So to then a big announcement be, at that event, there's going to be tickets for it. That doesn't feel like news, because there had to be tickets going on sale.
What did you think it was going to be when you saw Tony's tweet?
I actually had a feeling it was going to be something disappointing because I've been programmed to not get excited for them because it's never really anything noteworthy, or very rarely is it something noteworthy that I don't get the same buzz and excitement about them as I once did. It's white noise to me now. I
don't use social media, so I didn't know about this announcement even being a thing until I watched it this morning. So I was like, oh, okay, McGuinness is there. Wow, WWE have just announced the Bash in Berlin show recently. Maybe they're going to run another big show in Europe. They're going to do a pay-per... Oh my God, they're going to do a pay-per-view in Europe. And it was right, actually. It was just the pay-per-view in Europe they'd already announced.
I thought maybe they'll do announce something with CMLL.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they'll do a showdown in Mexico with that partnership.
TV deal.
TV deal,
we're, you know, you can watch everything, ROH, everything on the, what's it called, Max streaming service.
Yeah, but and like the back catalogue of pay-per-views, the original All-Ins on there, but no, it was, disappointing to say the least, and it's disappointment of their own making, because they hyped this up to a degree that it did not need to be.
I must admit, though, I get a kick out of them. There are very few times when Tony Khan appears on screen for me now, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Well, that as well, because it's Tony Khan, you know, he's reading off a prompter, but then he's like, can you put something in the script that makes me sound like I'm a normal human being? And so the script in there, your dad's had the Christmas tree up since July. So it's like, I've got a special treat for you for Christmas, and Nigel, my dad has had the Christmas trip since I've watched the Muppet Christmas Carol 3 times, and the Elf. I've watched them all.
It was, he said it's the 1st of November, holiday season's upon us, people are putting up Christmas trees. Already, at that point, I was like, no one's putting up a Christmas tree right now.
Well, Mariah Carey, like November 1st, did a big thing of just like, all I want for Christmas is for you to listen to this song again.
But still, most people, 1st of December, right?
For me, it's 1st of December.
Yeah.
That is when, like, stroke of midnight, 1st of December is when I will play Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas.
And I've heard from most Americans that they don't consider Christmas to be worth mentioning until Thanksgiving has passed.
Because they've got an extra holiday, an unnecessary one as well to add in there. Come on, guys, you're already Halloween, then it's Christmas.
So already it's like someone's explained what the common man does to Tony Khan around Christmas, and it's just not. It's not going to. It's Christmas trees, and then to try and relate, he says, and he stumbles over the words at the start. He says, "My parents' house have had a Christmas tree up since July." Oh my God, this is so good.
And Nigel was like, "Yeah, all right, mate. Let's just read the next line, shall we?"
I just like, oh man, I don't. It was not a good joke. Just like fundamentally, not a good joke. Delivered not very well. The context of all of it, Tony feels like a guy that hangs out with his parents a lot, which is which is sweet, which is really nice.
I hang out with my parents.
I love my parents, but it's just like when you're also running a major wrestling promotion where there's this kind of stigma about wrestling fans living in their parents' basements. It all tapped into that in my head when he said, Vince McMahon would never say, "Oh yeah, well, I was around my parents' house earlier." You're Vince McMahon. Stop behaving like a little boy.
It was quite spectacular in that sense. Yeah. I was joking about Thanksgiving as well just before. Don't revolt against me.
Let's see what you all think in the OmegaChats, WrestleTalk.com/support to get in your chats there. William Rosmer says, Tony Khan, I have an important announcement tonight on Dynamite. Everyone else, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Princess Bride quote there.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, important announcements it was.
Yeah. Just hype too much.
Yeah. Particularly when you're going into a European war next year. It is an important announcement. Just overhyped.
David Evans. What's occurring, gents? The scale for Tony Khan's announcements is 1. We'll hear from. 2. Important announcement. 3. Very important announcement. 4. Huge announcement. Credit to Joel Pearl on Fightful's Overbooked in the Weeds for that breakdown there.
I don't remember the very important.
Matt Hennessy here says Sean and Jimmy Van of Fightful put it best on the Hump. The Hump?
That's the show. It used to be called The List and Your Boy, and they renamed it to The Hump.
Like the bump?
Yes.
Tony Khan is coming across as the boy who cried wolf with these announcements, promoting these big announcements that could and should have been on social media. Honestly, doing them every few weeks comes across as desperation by Tony. Why is Willow getting a women's world title match after losing her last few matches on TV? She lost to Chris in a TBS title match at Battle of the Belts, then lost a number 1 contenders match to... I I haven't said this
Abaddon.
word for a while. Abaddon on Rampage last week. It really shows Tony Khan's carelessness with the women's division, that wins and losses don't matter. Also, I don't watch AEW for Ring of Honor. Tony, please stop putting Ring of Honor title matches on AEW. Put them on ROH. For the love of God. I thought we learned our lesson from last year. Would be great to try and make the AEW Trios titles matter rather than be a prop on a comedy team.
It's not wrong for it to be on a comedy team, the Trios titles. But
I don't think they're a comedy team either.
No, but I do agree that, like, when they said, hey, there's an ROH six-man tag title match, I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the fact that it was for an ROH six-man tag, I was like, I'm not bothered about that. But Hangman Page is there, which means I know Swerve Strickland isn't far behind. That's what actually got me excited for that match.
Yeah, and it delivered.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I totally agree on Willow as well. Like, she's been
man,
beaten a lot, and I just don't put her in that position.
Literally, well, they did it so they could do the Sky Blue angle afterwards,
Yeah.
because heaven forbid you do two different women's segments that aren't part of the same segment. But yeah, like, she literally lost a number one contendership match on Friday, then just got a title match anyway.
Let's get into some good stuff, though. Kevin says, I burst out laughing when Team TNA showed up. Not a fan of Bullet Club winning, though. I'd have Caster take the belt shot during the match so MJF could capitalize on this, get his belt back, and then celebrate and scissor the Acclaimed. It was weird seeing Max celebrate with the Acclaimed and pose for the crowd, since he lost clean and was the one who got pinned. And it's getting more weird that MJF is spending this long without the thing he cares about the most, which is his belt. Or maybe he's getting fulfilled elsewhere with friends.
I actually disagree with that as well, because Max was selling the disappointment of losing. Like, he, on his face, was telling you that he was upset that he lost this match. And, like, his celebrations in the corner were very much just yeah, okay, I'm a babyface, pose for the crowd, as opposed to, yeah, I'm whatever, celebrating the same thing. It wasn't the same level. He was selling that he was gutted that he got pinned that match and did not get his world title back, which is the thing that he does want. That's why he agreed to this 8-man tag with no potential friends. So I don't think I fully agree with that. And I actually really like Bullet Club Gold winning as well.
Matt Hennessy says, I really was into the Omega and Callis family feud, but Jericho being put in and being made the main focus has hurt the feud rather than help it. Cassidy continues to do great work as international champion, Sting retirement story is great, the Edge and Christian rivalry is fun, and the MJF is the best thing in AEW right now. Honestly, this is a 3 out of 5 show for me, to be honest. It's where I landed as well.
Me too.
Much. Nathan, maybe the masked man is O'Reilly. He returns to try and reunite Cole and Roddy. Cole wouldn't leave Max, so we get a Carl Roddy heel run and a tag match for the ROH tag titles. Later we get Carl versus MJF for the AEW title. I love this story if it's not obvious.
Yeah, O'Reilly was a name that Tempest and I bandied around when they first did the Devil attack. Have you seen who the current front runner is, though?
No.
Britt Baker.
Oh!
So the AEW actually had something quite big on social media yesterday, which is they've done a partnership with Doja Cat. And it's about, there's a reason why it's
That's a huge announcement.
Well, that's what I was getting to. And like, I know why they didn't put it on TV, though, is because it was promoting the women. So that's definitely why it wasn't on TV. But within that, Britt Baker did like the little devil horns things like Terry used to do. And when the attacker first went, what a lot of people point out to was like, it's quite a feminine frame on that devil there. So yeah, apparently Britt Baker is the social media current #1 frontrunner.
Ronan C. I've become disillusioned with AEW recently. I went to All In and really enjoyed it, but I don't feel weekly TV is interesting currently. Feels like Tony Khan is booking an indie show with matches that will be good, but overall, I don't feel like I have to tune in.
That said a lot about the current state of how good wrestling is at the moment.
Yeah.
Where someone is sending an ultra chat there to say like, Tony Khan just keeps putting on great wrestling. I don't know why I need to tune in for that.
I'm just getting these dream matches every week, and like, give me something else. I do get the sentiment. Though, there is. And finally, for now, Demand Gamer. Honestly, my biggest AEW problem at the moment is it's quickly becoming more expensive to consume in terms of time and money. WWE is about 6 hours versus AEW's 5 hours weekly, but the $60 pay-per-views going monthly is just too expensive, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's what WWE kind of learned in the 2006, 2007. Actually, they kind of ran through for a while when they were doing like 15 pay-per-views a year, each of which were $50. That not everyone was buying every pay-per-view. And so you ended up just doing these at a loss.
But it was in the late 90s, well, mid-90s, WWE upgrading the price of their B shows, which were the in-your-house shows, that really made WWE the sort of financial juggernaut it became today.
When you are hot, you can run monthly pay-per-views at $60, and people will pay for them.
Well, let's get in with the rest of the show. Please keep getting those in, your chats, to WrestleTalk.com/support. I really liked the opening of this episode. Felt a bit fresh. They did recap packages for Cassidy and Claudio and the Bullet Club best friends thing. And then they also focused on the Kenny and MJF recap.
Really like this, yeah.
And then, before we even get the opening credits, it goes to Renee Paquette with MJF. Adam Cole's on a Thunderdome screen.
He's not shaving his beard either. Absolute state of him. Looks like me.
He looked he's such a nice guy.
Oh,
I just get such good vibes from him.
It's kind eyes.
Yeah.
He's got kind eyes.
Yeah, he's such a good heel. It's mad, isn't it?
Because of the kind eyes.
And I thought he had some great lines here. Like, he's so sorry he can't be there, number one, because you've just become the longest reigning champion of AEW history. I want to be there to celebrate for you. But also, I know what it's like to have everyone gunning for me. And that's what you've got right now. And you haven't got me to back you up. Loved it.
He's like, I think you should accept Samoa Joe's offer. And MJF's like, all right, cool. Well, I need to go find some partners for the 8-man tag because I've got no friends at the moment. And as he walks off, Adam! Roderick Strong rolls in. And I didn't think that Roddy could be any better at this gimmick, but he's now found the way to be perfect at this gimmick, which is that he now has a mustache.
We should have done a mustache break.
He's got a mustache now. He now looks perfect. He looks like Ned Flanders.
So he's effectively saying, look, Max is obviously the devil.
Yeah, that's basically what he's
Cole,
to say.
Cole hangs up.
Yeah.
And then we get that devil flash.
Yeah.
And then I thought we were going to go straight to the main event, but then we got the full opening, check the room.
I think it makes sense to get... Do you want to do it again?
4, 3, 2, 1. I like that.
Got to put the boo with the friend that died. Got to put the free with the GD side. Like the boo. Like the boo. Dynamite. It makes sense as well because MJF, as we've seen over the ratings patterns for Dynamite last week and Collision this week, is the needle mover in AEW. Last week's Dynamite, if you didn't see our Collision review when we were talking about this, had like over 1 million viewers at the start of the show, and it stayed like at that sort of 960, 950 mark until MJF left the screen. So that first half hour, the first 2 quarters was like 950, like averaging about 950, 960. MJF leaves, 200,000 people tune out. It is a sharp drop-off for everything else that's in the show, and then it picks up for the main event, and then picks up with the overrun. Collision is actually the opposite of what usual ratings patterns are for wrestling shows. Starts like 450, 460, stays consistent, shoots up when MJF's title match starts. And that's like the absolute peak of the show was the first quarter of it, and then the second quarter.
So they took that knowledge and they structured a show where MJF would appear every 15 to 20 minutes.
Absolutely, exactly.
We got I love night-long storylines, self-contained episodes like this. MJF has to find his 3 partners to face Bullet Club Gold in the main event.
Yeah.
And we kept cutting backstage to him approaching different people.
But our opening contest was Orange Cassidy defending the International Championship against Claudio Castagnoli, which was basically a match designed to show you just how strong Claudio is.
He's a strong boy.
And he's a very strong boy.
There was a moment where Orange Cassidy jumped off the top rope in a splash position, and Claudio caught him, but also span him, like he caught him and instantly span him round into a backbreaker.
Yeah.
And I just thought, but that was only your wrists. That's only your wrists that twisted a whole adult man.
He countered the tornado spinning DDT into the giant swing with no wasted motion. It was absolutely perfect. Like, a lot of this was so great. I even really enjoyed, like, there was a bit of Cassidy trying to play possum. There was a moment when Claudio had him almost dead to rights. He was going to set up for the neutralizer, but Cassidy kept dropping down. And it was Cassidy being like, oh, well, I'm going to outsmart him. I'm going to outfox him. But every time he then tried to pin him, Claudio was like, no, no, I'm too strong and I'm going to stop you.
Probably lobbed Cassidy around.
Yeah.
Like, but in last week's main event, and he hit that huge uppercut, and Cassidy got so much air on it. Yeah, I guess this is, I've heard this is what a lot of Chikara was like when Claudio was in there.
Yeah.
You just, because Cassidy was one of the fire ants, I think,
and
Claudio would just throw these people around, like, because he's such a strong base.
I think he was fire ants.
Cassidy was.
I think Cassidy was fire ant, yeah.
So Wheeler Yuta was trying to get involved, but the referee sent him to the back. Hook made sure he went to the back, and then we got a clip of both of them sort of having a verbal confrontation. Pat Buck stepped in.
Yeah, he did.
God, he's so noticeable, isn't he? Bright red hair, suit, everyone else in hoodies. Yes.
Yeah, there's Pat Buck.
That's the guy that feuded with Nia Jax.
There's the ex-WWE guy from backstage.
But yeah, Cassidy sort of got a nice run at the end, but it was really neck and neck, and it was Cassidy turning, what was it? He's turned something into a Hurricane Rana pin.
I think it might have been a powerbomb, so it might have gone for like a Ricola bomb or something. Like, basically, the story was he survived that match. I also really loved Claudio trying to do a Rainmaker because he's like fired up and pissed off at Kazuchika Okada, and he's pissed off at Orange Cassidy for injuring Danielson because they're playing in kayfabe that it was them that hurt Danielson when actually it happened in the Andrade match the week previous.
I love what happened in the post-match here. I thought all three guys performed perfectly. Cassidy rolls out right away because, he just got the win there. And Claudio just stands there looking at him, pissed off. And Moxley's music hits. Moxley comes through the crowd, gets in the ring. Claudio, all the time, just looking at Cassidy, back to Moxley. Cassidy, really coolly, just like, all right, I'm going to come for you, Moxley. He does give an F. And he goes in, and of course, Moxley beats the living hell out of him.
He beat the piss out of this poor boy.
Ooh, took him to school.
He sure did.
Gonna take him down to market, sell those oranges.
Claudio had to drag Moxley off because Claudio beat up the security and let Mox have his fun. But then after I was like, all right, mate, you've had enough now.
So that was really, really good, I thought. More of that later. Well, actually, let's just jump to this great Mox promo backstage a bit later on, saying he gave Orange Cassidy respect at All Out. He left the ring when he had won the title to acknowledge Cassidy's title reign. And you're right, like, for Moxley, Blackpool Combat Club, that is a show of respect.
Sure is.
But Orange Cassidy did not show him the same respect back because Cassidy took the match with Phoenix to win the belt back. That was meant to be Moxley's match. I love how they've taken what was a cluster F of injuries and turned it into Moxley's motivation here.
I really liked all of this. This was great stuff. And they announced later on they're having a match at Full Gear.
MJF's backstage. He's trying to find a partner, of course. He goes to knock on Kenny Omega's door, but Chris Jericho answers.
Ruins everything.
Yeah.
Bloody Chris Jericho. We could have had Kenny Omega in the main event.
Just with a smirk. And MJF, they don't say anything. It's beautiful, just non-verbal storytelling. Jericho closes the door. Max walks off and just goes, what a prick.
Yeah, calls him an asshole. And then Wardlow attacks MJF to let him know that he's going to take everything off of him, and the Acclaimed offered their services. Kind of like a running gag throughout the night was every time Max was being attacked by someone or being turned down by someone, the Acclaimed were there to be like, hey, but us though? And really it was Max Caster being like, hey, but me?
Yeah.
After Collision, I said this to Dan, I am so excited to see now what Kenny Omega's next step is because I loved their match on Collision so much.
Teaming with Jericho.
I was so excited to see what's next for Kenny Omega and the Don Callis family. And then they announced he was tagging with Jericho against not the Jericho Appreciation Society. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough then, yeah. All right, well, that's all of my excitement diminished, I guess.
Well, there's a show in Ontario, Canada coming up.
Man, I was like...
So you got to get the boys back together.
I was so excited, and then Jericho shows up, and I'm like, no! Stop dragging Kenny's coolness down. Do you remember when Kenny was cool for a couple of week period when Jericho wasn't around? And all of a sudden, Jericho shows back up, and all of a sudden, Kenny feels uncool again. Good one, Chris! What an asshole.
Speaking of uncool, the ROH Trios titles. I loved, again, the first half hour of this show, which is everything we just covered. And then this is where I just sort of fell out of step with it. We got the Hung Bucks defending their ROH Trios titles against the Embassy. The Embassy, of course, Swerve Strickland's
Heavies.
It's the Gates of Agony. It's Brian Cage. No Prince Nana. No Swerve Strickland.
And they were putting over that Nana is scared. He's scared to go out there in case Hangman goes after him.
As he bloody well should be. Because I sound like William Regal.
You bloody well should be.
Because last week was one of the best promo angle segments I've seen all year, and it was where Swerve invaded Hangman's home, but in a really sinister, realistic way, and cut a promo on his baby.
It's terrifying.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds hokey, but it really was psychologically subversive. So I was really excited to see what Hangman would do here. Last thing we saw, he was running to the back to save his family and presumably beat the living crap out of Swerve. Let's just have a normal match here against people directly connected to Swerve and Nana.
I didn't even really think about it until you mentioned it. I was like, yeah, they just had a match.
They just had a normal match.
Had a normal match.
The story of this match should have been, the bell doesn't even ring. Hangman just goes for Brian Cage. He's beating the piss out of him. He's beating the piss out of the Gates of Agony. The Bucks are like, no, whoa, Hangman, no, come back. Come back, get your head in the... This is a title defense. And Hangman is just consumed by rage and hate because Swerve has crossed a line. That's how they lose the the trios titles.
Yeah.
Not because Swerve and Nana come out like it's some WWE lazy booking bollocks and Hangman chases them off, leaving the Bucks to just get squashed by the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. Titles changed hands. I don't care.
No.
I was really disappointed in this segment.
Me too. Me too. I like the intensity of Hangman chasing Swerve up the ramp and the altercation they had backstage, and they announced they're going to do the rematch at Full Gear. That's all grand. But you had a real opportunity here to do a hot follow-up to the angle you shot last week. And what you did was a regular wrestling match with a title change for titles that mean nothing. And the Young Bucks then had a little temper tantrum afterwards, and we're breaking up the Elite.
Yeah. Seen that.
Yeah, been there, done that. What happened to them facing the tag champions at Full Gear?
Yeah, they won. They're the number one contenders.
I don't think they're doing that now.
After that, MJF's backstage.
I think Jerry Lynn's wrong. I think Dave Meltzer's right and Jerry Lynn is wrong.
There's a sad day when we have to sit here and say Jerry Lynn is wrong.
I love Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
Jerry Lynn's one of my boys. But I think Jerry Lynn is wrong. His whole deal of like, no, we do still have plans in place. We're not just giving them to town so they leak it to the dirt sheet. I'm watching the product, mate. A lot of this feels like you're just booking it on the fly.
MJF's backstage. He goes to knock on Samoa Joe's door, but thinks better of it. I love that. Just this small moment really gets across everything. I think it's building to Joe and MJF defending the ROH tag belts.
Yeah. I think you could do that, and then maybe do MJF Joe at World's End.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's like, I was thinking about this.
Long Island.
In Long Island. I was also thinking you could do it as like a triple threat with Wardlow in there as well.
Oh,
like
that's nice.
Suddenly all of the challengers converge on him at the same time. Because on Collision, after the title win, it wasn't just Joe and Wardlow. Hobbs was watching backstage as well. So you could almost do a fatal four-way.
It's that TNT title picture from last year.
Leveling up.
Yeah. Then MJF goes to Darby Allin's locker room and he looks here and he picks off the sign and he writes emo bitch. Just, I love that. Even in his hour of need, when he really needs a friend, he just can't get over how much he hates Darby Allin. That's our scumbag.
That's our scumbag.
Yeah. And he rejects the Acclaimed again. It's not I didn't like this next segment. I just thought they wasted a bit more potential. So Adam Copeland comes out. Tony Schiavone is doing the in-ring interview. Adam Copeland is going to talk about whether he's going to team with Sting and Darby at Full Gear.
If I may, can I do an impression of what happened here? Because Tony Schiavone said, Adam Copeland! And then, bam, 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 ba-dam, ba-dam, on his day. Adam Copeland runs down and he's all fired up and he's playing to the crowd and he's playing to the other side of the crowd and he runs down to the ring and he's playing up to the crowd. And then Tony Schiavone's like, tell me about Christian. He's like, we say about Christian. Oh God, Sting lost me to tag with him. And Paul Gibson. Just give me a second. Yeah, I could probably do.
God, interrupt me, Christian. Interrupt me now.
Come on, please. Where's the music? You proper Ultimate Warrior himself to do this promo segment.
I bet being a wrestler's exciting. I'd get carried away.
Me too. Cher Delaware from Fightful was at this show, and when he came out, she tweeted, "Oh, I forgot Adam Copeland was in AEW."
So Christian interrupts pretty quickly, and he threatens to snap Edge's neck if he doesn't stay away from this six-man tag, and that his daughters will have to wipe away the drool from his face for the rest of his life. Or, horrible line, but I would say no nastier than any other lines that Christian has said. So Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne get in, they go to attack Copeland. Copeland beats him down, but Christian comes in, they beat him up. They're going to do the concerto. Darby bullets in. Seems fine now after that broken arm. Sting's in as well.
It's probably still broken. It's just that I don't think he cares.
And then Darby, there's 3 elbows in your arm. And it actually built to a really nice visual and a really nice spot where Christian's beating up, I think it was Darby in the corner. And of course, we can all see Edge gearing up in the opposite corner for the spear. Copeland, I'm sorry. Cage turns around, spear. Great. And yeah, he confirms, I'm going to team with Sting and Darby at the Full Gear show.
There was quite a good little story leading into this. I quite liked Copeland's whole, "I will not fight my brother." I thought that was a really fun angle to do. Sting and Darby really want Copeland to be tagging with him. He's like, "Look, I know he said bad things, but he is my brother and I can't do that." Metaphorical, of course.
Yeah.
I can't fight him.
Well, sometimes literally.
Sometimes literal. I want to save him. And then this week he's like, "Nah, I'm just going to tag. I'm just going to hit the spear on you. And yeah, I'm fighting you at the pay-per-view."
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, all the nuance we had going into the storyline has just been dropped away so we can announce the match ahead of time. Cool. Grand.
Which is fine, because I'm just, usually AEW presents me with a better story than what I'm thinking of. And in this case, obviously, we'll see how it plays out. But this is significantly less than the story I was interested in.
Yeah.
For me, I think you could have announced Copeland with Sting and Darby. He's like, "Look, my only condition, I'm not going to lay a finger on Christian. And I'll beat the living crap out of Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne, but you two have to handle Christian." And then within that's like, what a tense thing in the match. He has to tag out. Oh, no, he's going to hit Christian. No, he tags out. And then in that match, that's when you pay off the spear. That's the finish of this match.
Yeah. I'm not here to fight you in this match. I'm here to save you in this match.
Yeah. And then, he's finally hit the spear on Christian. He looks at him. No, what have I done? Darby gets the pin, maybe. Oh.
It's just a coffin drop out of nowhere, yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
But right now, it's like, nope. Baby faces and heels.
Nope, it's just Copeland, Sting, and Darby versus the Christian Coalition at the pay-per-view. And it will be a grand match, but I think there was a much more interesting story that this show was telling. This is not us fantasy booking a story in our head that we prefer. This is the story they were telling on TV, and have now just done a different story.
We got Tony Khan's important announcement. 2.0 took on Jericho and Omega here, the Don Callis family on commentary. Of course, now with bonus Carl Fletcher. Looking slick.
He looks cool.
Cool
Fletcher, more like.
Yeah, but, someone who isn't cool. Right now, at least, is Jericho. And I feel like I thought the crowd were going to be really excited for this. But
why?
Kenny's wrestling.
Yeah, but he's being dragged down. Like, there's a really cool thing happening here with Kenny and the Callis family. But then, like, Jericho and the formerly known as Jericho Appreciation Society are at ringside. I'm like, no one's really interested in this bit.
I really thought, I know there was a promo afterwards and the reveal of Paul White, but I really think this could have benefited from just 30 seconds to a minute of promo time for Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange on the mic in the ring, burying Kentucky, burying everyone. Just like get the crowd hot, because they're great promos. Mm-hmm. And then they'd be into it for this, like, what was, I thought, a weirdly cold Jericho Omega match.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. I don't think this was a particularly well-mic'd crowd, though. Obviously, ticket sales aren't great for the area, but, like, this was not a well-mic'd crowd.
But they were hot later on. You know, kangaroo kick, everyone's going crazy.
MJF's is on another level, I guess.
Yeah. So Omega took out Hager when he was trying to interfere. Daddy Magic used the bat on Chris Jericho when he was attempting a lion salt. Cool spot. Jericho kicked out and dodged Parker trying to murder him. Full on swang that bat at his head.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that the Callis family paid them to do that, and it was going to be a DQ. So, but Jericho
hit the Judas effect.
Judas effect for the win.
Great.
So afterwards, Don and the family came down and challenged them to an 8-man tag in 2 weeks' time in Ontario, Canada. Omega said, "Well, I'll have Kota Ibushi join us." Hopefully this one's a good one.
Your bi-monthly Kota Ibushi appearance.
What deal is he on?
Well, I think he's now signed.
Is he?
I think he told like a Japanese newspaper, "Oh yeah, I've only just officially signed with the company."
Yeah,
but it was like a month ago or so, I guess.
And then Jericho said, "Well, I've got someone else who's bigger than Powerhouse Hobbs." And Don's like, "There's no one bigger than," just perfectly setting up this reveal. "There's no one bigger than Powerhouse Hobbs." And they announce Paul White.
Yep. Tall Paul. Which I love Paul White. I just, when he came out, it wasn't one of those like, oh, cool, badass reveals. It was, your knees look like they're going to collapse. Just when he was just walking out, just like this box was
Yeah.
coming out, and then he did the punch on Carl Fletcher, and I was like, oh no, this is a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of working in the corner, a lot of walk and brawl, but I'd probably not do too much walking.
Yeah.
Just like, as I said, like after Collision, I was so excited for the Kenny thing because they told such a good story in that match, which is that Kenny, he can beat MJF. When he goes back to being the cleaner, which is what he had to do in the match, he tried to keep pace with MJF early doors, and he couldn't because he's younger than him, and Kenny's not 25 anymore. So it's like, okay, so he went back to being the cleaner, and it's Snapdragons on the apron, it's the Dr. Bomb off the apron through a table. It's like, I am Kenny by God Omega, and he goes to hit the One-Winged Angel. Then Callis comes out. No matter how good Kenny is, no matter how good the cleaner can be, no matter how much he can beat MJF, he can't do anything while Don Callis is still in his life. I was so into this. And now it's like, no more BS Paul White. And he just comes out not being able to walk properly, and he punched Carl Fletcher. I'm like, this is lame.
Yeah.
Like, it's just within 3 days, just lame again.
It's amazing, though, that we're going to get a Jericho Golden Lovers team up.
Yeah. And I don't care.
Well, I don't think I'd ever have cared about that. Because those things don't match up in my head. I never once thought I can't wait to see Kota Ibushi team with Big Show.
Yeah.
But it's happening. It's certainly a thing that's happening. We'll see how they work it.
A lot of people have been like, guys, it's in and also they said it's in Ontario, California.
Oh.
So it's not in. Oh, it's in California. It's not even in Canada. Then why are we doing this? What are we doing this for then? They said Ontario, and I was like, oh right, they're in Canada. That makes sense.
Kenny and Jericho are then interviewed backstage by Renee in the Elite's locker room, and the Bucks just interrupt, particularly Matt, who I really like him as a promo, and he's annoyed with Jericho. He's like, look, why is this guy here? I haven't forgotten about when he assaulted our dad a couple of years ago. He's cut from the same cloth as Don. He'll betray you eventually, Kenny. And the Bucks storm out. And Kenny actually, you weren't good enough. That's why you lost your titles. Mm-hmm. So a lot of tension there.
Yeah. I just want to see Kenny on a singles run.
Yeah,
that's all I'm after. I'm after a good Kenny Takeshita match again.
And just turn the Bucks heel and make them good. Why are the Elite intent on being not the best versions of the Elite? I get do a year-long storyline of that, cool. But you've done it for a long time now.
Do you think the Elite story of we're not as good as we once was is Vince McMahon's genius monster gimmick of just like, I can get this over.
Yeah, I think so.
Vince loves the genius monster. He's like, I can get this over. Just give me the right guy and I can get this idea over.
Mike Knox.
That is Eric Rowan. That is the Elite breaking up and being bad. Like, we can get this over. Because they're not even doing Being the Elite at the moment. Like, they haven't done it for like 3 or 4 weeks or so. It's just been the Colt Cabana and Brandon Cutler show. So like, they're doing the story of like, we are not as strong as we once were. And they just cannot get it over because that's not what people want to see out of the Bucks and Kenny Omega.
I don't feel like I've ever had that as well. I guess we got it in Blood and Guts, but it wasn't like, where's the then successful run off the back of that?
Yeah.
That was meant to be the start, surely. Willow Nightingale then took on Shida. We've already talked about Nightingale having this match being both silly from wins and losses perspective because she lost on Friday and on Saturday and then here as well. But also just, why are you putting her in positions to get beaten? I feel like Nightingale is quite a special talent in AEW, yet they are just treating her like woman number 3 who can get beaten by a Shida or a Statlander or a Soho.
She won the Owen Hart tournament.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
She got a belt there.
Yeah, look at the follow-up. Like she was the inaugural New Japan Strong Women's Championship, the belt designed for Mercedes Moné. And yeah, she's just someone on the roster.
This match did not have any heat, but they did start to get the crowd into it because I thought they worked really well by the end. Avalanche Falcon Arrow from Shida. Nightingale kicks out at 1 and then does the pounce. We love to see a pounce on this show. And then, a couple of near falls back and forth. Shida wins clean.
Yeah.
So it's like, great for Willow, I guess.
So going by our usual logic and standard of this, there won't be a Hikaru Shida match next week because that's now 3 matches she's had since winning the belt. So I don't think she'll now have another match on TV until Full Gear. Or
they're trying to do the international title defend every week.
So because she's going to lose it at Full Gear.
Yeah.
She get a few title defenses under her belt, then she can lose it at Full Gear.
Transitional champion year.
Oh yeah.
Tony Storm then came out and tried to steal the spotlight of Shida's latest victory.
I liked this.
Yeah, this was much better than last week because Shida was just like, nope, and ran up to her, ran into the black and white weld as well, which I thought was quite fun. Just knocked over Luther.
Yeah, I thought it was. I really liked this because it was, last week we had that Ultra Chat in being like, I don't like that Tony Storm is stealing the spotlight because it's taken away from Shida, and I was like, no, that's the point. It's like that's the story we're telling here, and then she did it again on Saturday after the Abaddon match. So I really liked here. Shida, when Tony Storm came out, Shida went, ugh, like a proper big, you again reaction. And then just like, I've had enough of this. Got out of the ring, pushed Luther out of the way, and attacked Tony Storm and sent her to the back. I thought that was really, really good because that's the match we're going to get at Full Gear.
Then in the ring, the lights cut out after that. Lights come back up. Julia Hart is behind Willow Nightingale. What's going to happen? Sky Blue runs down, looks at Julia Hart, turns round and looks at Willow. And then looks back at Julia Hart. Blue mist.
The blue mist.
That's quite a fun spin on the mist, I think.
We did this before. Like, what does each mist do?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a Laurie Explained video about all the mists.
Mist.
I think it makes you sad, doesn't it?
Wrestling.
It's not what a goth needs. More sadness.
Here we go. Blue sends the opponents to sleep. Well, didn't do that here.
Julia did not fall asleep here. She rolled out the ring, covered Blue, and looked annoyed.
I liked this as well because I've been quite enjoying this Sky Blue Julia Hart story. It sort of got put on, not hold, but because there's been no Julia Hart on TV because she went on her honeymoon, that we've just had Sky Blue just getting more and more gothy makeup, wearing Scooby-Doo outfits. And I've been kind of enjoying some of the work they've been doing there. So this is a nice payoff for this.
Yeah.
But because it is, they can only have one segment on TV, you've got to do both of the storylines you're currently doing in the same segment. Hence why Willow Nightingale was the one to lose this match. She had to be in this match, otherwise you can't do the follow-up segment.
Yeah. I liked it, both these bits individually, but I agree they should have been spread out a bit. MJF is then on the floor, dejected backstage. There's nobody left. Acclaimed come over and say, come on, we know there's nobody else. You're going to team with us as long as you scissor me and wear what's in this bin bag. And he looks at it and he's like, oh no, there's some other team.
I've got one more team left to ask. And the camera turns around, and it's Team TNA, and it's Jarrett, and it's Lethal, and it's Dutt, and it's Karen Jarrett, and Satnam Singh, and they're going, yeah, you and me, let's tag together. It's us, it's Team TNA.
Yeah. Camera pans back to Max. He looks at the bin and goes, oh crap, and he walks off with the bag. This best thing on the show.
I love this.
Actually, the best thing on the show.
I remember those. Ha, it's Team TNA.
Yeah.
It was the perfect reveal.
They were yucking.
Yeah.
They were yuck.
They're great mid-card heels. Yeah. If this was WWF in 2018, they'd be in the main event.
Yeah.
But like they are in the perfect spot in AEW, which is so low down the card. It's a perfect place for them.
Then the main event happens. So the Gang Bang Gang have their awesome entrance with the Michael Bay Bad Boys rotating camera. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's see how they're going to do this. Because now we know it's the Acclaimed, but they've sort of been teasing it up as a mystery partner. And it's the Acclaimed who come out first. So the focus was actually on MJF coming out in the pink gear.
Yeah.
For me, like, you know, it's nice. It makes sense. It wasn't the climax to this weeks of thing that I thought we were going to get.
No, I said this on Collision, because I made my pitch last week of it being all of the challenges, which is why I was really excited when he knocked on Kenny Omega's door, and I'm annoyed that Chris Jericho ruined it.
Yeah.
But as I said on Collision, I'll be really happy if it's the Acclaimed because it makes sense and they've set up this the Acclaimed. Also, the Acclaimed are great, and I'd like to see them get a lot more on TV than they're currently getting. So I was happy that it was the Acclaimed because it just makes complete sense. And the reveal of Max coming out with wearing the Acclaimed gear, it didn't get the overwhelming reaction that, say, MJF and Adam were getting. You know what I mean? Like, it's nowhere near the levels of Better Than You, Baby we're getting. It was just like hey, this is fun. Like, Max got, some good, like, oh, when he called them New Japan rejects.
And the ass boys, yeah. So the match was good. Really fun match. Jay White just stayed away from Max the whole time, which was a nice story. Daddy Ass legit turned 60 on this day. 60?
No way.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Isn't that the same age as Sting? No, Sting's like 64, I think.
How old?
Can we just check that Billy Gunn is 60?
First off, Sting is...
Whoa!
No, sorry, that's a different
That's
Sting.
a different Sting.
Wrestler.
Steve Bowden. 64. When I get older, losing my hair.
Is 60. Yeah, November 1st, 1963.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, what a diet.
He was moving around.
He looks great.
The work he was doing with his kids was great. Like, he was like, I'm working with my kids. And the kids were having a lot of, like, doing some really good stuff with it. I thought this was a really good match. I particularly loved the MJF Jay White stuff in this. A very MJF match because it mirrored the MJF Punk 6-man tag that they did during their feud, which is that they don't touch. Only this time it's MJF's at the babyface chest. And the only time Jay White laid a finger on MJF was in MJF's back is turned and he hits one Blade Runner and pins him.
Yeah. MJF had just hit the kangaroo kick on both ass boys, send them out the ring. He's celebrating. That's when Jay White comes up.
What I love about this story, and they've been telling this so well on Dynamite and on Collision, is that MJF is not just facing Jay White, he's facing Bullet Club Gold. And he might be able to beat Jay White on his best day. But with Bullet Club Gold on the outside, he is at the disadvantage. And that's exactly what happened in the finish of this match. I really, really like this. Like, I'm preempting, I've not checked, but going by the live chat we had at the start of this show before it started, we're going to have some chats here that aren't into this story. Because I don't think this story is connecting. Certainly not with our audience. The live chat weren't into this. We've had ultra chats over the last few weeks that said, don't really get Jay White. I'm not really into this story. So I get that it's not connecting with our audience. But man, it's connecting with me. I really, really like this.
It's really fun, I find as well. The post-match angle was where the heart was, I would say. Because the main event, you think of... We're a couple of weeks out from the pay-per-view. And by this point, MJF has shifted into a way more serious gear for his feuds. Like, think of the initial Bryan Danielson feud. That was like 2 months long, that build. The first month was sort of comedy trials. Face this person, face that person. Max goofing around. But then by 3 weeks out, he was cutting serious promos. And it was just all boom, 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 serious, serious, serious. I don't feel like we've had that from this feud. We're still at a point where, are two people going to scissor each other? It's the ass boys. It's that, this isn't where the Jay White MJF feud needs to be for all those detractors to go, I see what the excellence is here. I think that was meant to happen a couple of weeks ago with the anti-Semitism angle. I think that was the point where it's boom. There's the gear change from comedy jokey, we've stolen your belt, to flip it on its head. No, now we're serious. This is a serious blood feud. We're going to beat the crap out of each other. But it's not happened yet. No.
And the backlash that they got for doing that has probably made them sort of pull back on that. I mean, they certainly pulled back on it because they never... They dropped it immediately. And they've just instead focused on MJF wants to get the belt back. And I think MJF is selling that good. And I think Jay White's doing really good promo work. I really like Juice in this as well. But yeah, as I said, it's certainly not connecting with our audience.
Max Caster dived in front of Jay White's belt shot on Max in the post-match angle, taking the bullet for him, which is, really, really nice poetically. And Jay runs off, and MJF still won't scissor Max Caster. And Daddy Ass says to him, very clearly on camera, you effing scissor him now. So yeah, we get the scissor and a big 4-way scissor spot.
Yeah, I really liked MJF selling in this, which is just like, he did it because it was the right thing to do, but his mind is elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the show. Genuinely, I was so shocked when Jay White pinned MJF. Yeah. Really, really stunned at that, which I quite liked.
It does certainly make him feel like a more credible challenger. So I think that the booking wise there, definitely the right decision.
Me too.
Just the sort of story character elements around it need to find a more bloody hook.
Mm-hmm.
6 set. There's no Patreon shoutouts.
It's a new month. We'll have them starting again next week.
But you can come and meet us, remember. Crown Jewel Watch Party this Saturday. Should we do a final plug?
Don't just take it from me, take it from me.
Watch WWE Crown Jewel 2023 alongside Luke Owen, Ollie Davis, Tempest, Dan Layton from WrestleTalk and over 100 other wrestling fans, along with a live version of our board game series, No Holds Board. We'll be raising money for charity and doing our live reactions to Crown Jewel from the venue, which means you'll have the chance to be on camera and be part of the WrestleTalk live experience. This is the best way to watch wrestling pay-per-views, and tickets are available now. Get your tickets today, and we will see you there to be part of moments like this.
Jay has the spark, has got it in! 1, 2, 3! Jay got it! Jay got it! Jay did it! Jay did it! Jay beat Roman! Jay beat Roman! Jay beat Roman! Oh my god!
Can you imagine what will happen during those LA Knight near falls?
Well, I'm going to be rooting for Drew. I think that's in Wrestle League. I've got Drew to win.
Have you?
Yeah. Heel turn, sign a new contract, all the stuff. Right. So last call for OmegaChats. Oh, also link in the video description below. Buy a ticket. Come see us on Saturday. 6 says, why don't they just say we'll hear from Tony Khan? It doesn't overhype it. We can just go, okay, cool. And when there is a big announcement, we then have something to still be excited by, or just have it announced in commentary.
Well,
totally agree.
The latter part of that is what I would do. Like, as I said at the top of the show, you could have made this announcement on the show and it would have been a totally fine, credible announcement to make. It's the hype to do it. And the reason why you don't do as 6 suggested is because that doesn't pull in the TV ratings, in theory. But, as proven fact, it doesn't do it, or it doesn't prove in the ratings either.
J Bros says, what do you think of the possibility of Jungle Boy being the one under the devil mask?
I've seen
That's
that
a
one
good
banded
idea,
around.
actually.
I like it being Jack Perry as well.
The Magic Man says, I forgot the Ass Boys are Billy Gunn's real kids.
They sure are.
I also forgot that. It wasn't until they started wrestling. I was like, oh yeah, that's actually quite a nicely designed feud.
Yeah.
Jonathan says, hey guys, I was at the show last night and thought it was a blast. It was nice that it was Billy Gunn's birthday and they did a celebration after the show. Also, Luke, please inform Dan that the KFC Yum Center is indeed the best arena in the world. I thought the crowd was pretty loud, lots of chants started, and people were cheering along. Wasn't sure how that would translate to TV, but it seems you guys didn't catch a lot of the crowd noise. I know I was screaming my head off a lot of the time.
I think it was one of those ones where it wasn't mic'd very well, or something in production. But yeah, Dan finds the KFC Yum Center as the funniest arena name. I mean, it is a very funny name.
It's a frankly stupid name.
It's horrifically stupid.
Bacon Rasher. Hi, Bacon Rasher. Met him at the last watch party. Hi, lads. I don't do social media as it's toxic. So it was good to hear from Tony, apart from the fact I was at Wembley and Adam Cole announced it there. Thanks for all you do, lads. I will miss you this weekend. Jammy jam jam.
Well, that's it, Bacon. That's the problem, bud, is that they announced that it's the tickets. Well, the pre-sale link for the tickets. That's the big announcement you missed, bud.
Bizarro Big L. Luke got TNA. SRS got Doja Cat. Hangman Jr. got a t-shirt. That's what he wanted. What we all need now is a t-shirt of the Kingdom and Roddy in their 1980s family portrait. The full gear, would Max Caster make more sense for the ROH tag belts, having backup to counter Jay and Juice? I like the story of Samoa Joe, because then that's your another odd couple tag team that you pay off at World's End in a title match, and it's the reverse of how MJF and Adam Cole were put together, odd couple tag team, ended up liking each other, and don't think it will go the same way with Joe. Or maybe it will. Ket took a look at the timeless Tony Storm videos, and honestly, this looks so corny. It seems like one of those gimmicks that makes me embarrassed to be a fan of wrestling, much like Seth currently. She's a great wrestler with a cringe gimmick.
It is over, though.
I'm more on the Ket side of things. I don't dislike it as much as Ket, but
yeah. I am less into it now than I was 2 weeks ago, but I can't deny that it's not over.
EJO. Good day, AEW. I reckon this episode of Dynamite was great. AEW got the memo from last week and spaced out the MJF story. Too bad they clustered the women division yet again. Let's keep complaining about the terrible women's booking. Spam that ham.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Statlander did an interview where she was like, it almost felt like it was directed at me because I've and you and I have had this conversation of like, I've been saying it for 4 years. I don't know how many more times I can say with the same level of passion I did 4 years ago, book the women's division better. But then she did this interview being like, we should still be saying that because I think we should have more time on TV. So, you know what? Chris Statlander's right and I'm wrong.
Well, I don't know what more I can be doing. Chris James Little says, hey, WrestleTalk OGs, with the reunion of Jerry's show on this episode, I was wondering what are your favourite mashups of wrestling themes, and theirs was one of my best. My other favourites are a rated RKO theme, and I've got a big announcement. Water is wet, lol. Jam that jam.
My favourite ones. I liked RVD's and Booker T's because it's a really jarring, like, stop and start, and it's really pants.
I can't think of...
Oh, there's been no good ones. That's the problem. Because what they used to do was a masher, which was just like pressing stop on one song and pressing play on the other song.
The Roller Coaster says, hi guys. Number one, Luke, congrats on the first day of NaNoWriMo. I'm doing it too. Let's keep it up.
Hey, congratulations.
Are you doing NaNoWriMo?
I am doing NaNoWriMo.
Oh, exciting.
I did 2,700 words yesterday.
Jeez. How many were good?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't read them back yet. But I was saying to Sullivan today, I'm not reading them back. Because that's...
you don't want to get derailed.
You need to keep moving forward with NaNoWriMo.
I think that's how some people book wrestling. Number 2, Team TNA were right there. Number 3, the rest of this Omega chat will be made in a huge announcement next week in Winnipeg for Shazam! Fury of... Have a great day.
I mean, I got a bit of a superhero mode at the moment because I'm listening to the MCU, the Rise of Marvel Studios, and then there was that big Variety article yesterday. So I'm kind of back into a superhero mindset, but less of like I'm excited for the Marvels, and more of what's going on behind the scenes.
It's where we're at with Star Wars about 6 years ago. Charles Berg says, well, I didn't watch the show yesterday. I was too busy playing Spider-Man and my recording got corrupted. I will say this, though. Sometimes Tony reminds me of Herb Abrams. I don't know why. I think it's his manic expression. Anyways, take care, everyone. Herb Abrams?
Yes.
Is that
the old wrestling promoter?
What? Oh, the one on the Dark Side of the Ring episode?
Yes.
And the Guilty Hat says, maybe it's just me, but I don't think MJF scissored the Acclaimed because it was the right thing to do. He did it because everyone loves the Acclaimed, and the boos started creeping in as he wailed away. He fears rejection from the fans. Now he has us.
And that's what I was saying is it's the right thing to do. And it was the right, in Max's mind, Caster took a bullet for him. And Daddy Ass was right. You're sizzling that man right now. What that guy did for you, all he wants is for you to do this one thing for him. And so it was the right thing to do in that scenario was to scissor him in that moment.
Sometimes you just step out of the context of what we're talking about.
Well, I had this with when they first started doing the scissor gimmick, and I was watching AEW on Fight TV on the TV when the kid was smaller, and my wife every now and again would be like, what is this? Like, why do you watch this show outside of it being your job? And I'm like, hey, look, it's fun. Like, you see how much people are into this? They really like this. She's like, I don't know why.
Should we end the poll? See what everyone's thoughts are. I gave it 78%.
Wow, this is split.
Oh,
man, this is really split. We haven't had numbers on Dynamite like this for a while, but this is 47% thumbs up, 38% in the middle, 14% thumbs down.
Wow, that is for AEW standards, that is very, very negative.
We have not had negative numbers like that for, I don't think, ever. Certainly not since we started doing the thumbs up, thumbs down poll.
Wow. Well, remember, please do go and buy a ticket for our Crown Jewel watch party. We'll hopefully see you on Saturday. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. It's been Luke Owen. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.